6:51, time for the morning sprint.
An Army veteran who was in the Colorado Springs nightclub when a gunman opened fire is crediting his military training for helping to stop the attack. Richard Fierro told reporters he and another man, Thomas James, grabbed the man and pulled him to the ground. The 22-year-old suspect is in the hospital now, facing 5 murder and hate crime charges. And some breaking news this morning. At least 268 people are dead after an earthquake shook the Indonesian island of Java. 150 are still missing, more than 1,000 injured in the 5.6 magnitude earthquake. Blocked roads and damaged bridges prevented rescuers from bringing equipment to help dig out survivors.
In Waukesha, hundreds attending a memorial on the one-year anniversary of the Christmas parade tragedy last night. Governor Tony Evers and the Waukesha mayor spoke as they joined city officials to honor the lives lost and support those still suffering. Mayor Riley is asking folks and businesses to display blue lights to show support for the victims.
Nearly 130 soldiers in the Wisconsin National Guard are back home after a year-long deployment at the U.S.-Mexico border. The Guard's 229th Engineer Company started arriving back on November 9th, with the last few troops returning this past weekend. Soldiers are based in both Prairie du Chien and Richland Center.
An 11-year-old who was killed in a hunting accident over the weekend has been identified as a 6th grader from Berlin. Investigators say Easton Tom was fatally shot around 9 o'clock Sunday morning in Seneca, a town in Green Lake County. The DNR says that a 41-year-old man in the same hunting party was trying to unload his gun, which was placed in the backseat of the vehicle when it went off. Thomas was hit in the chest and died at the hospital. The Berlin Area School District will provide counseling to students and staff this week.
The threat of a rail strike is back after one of the nation's largest railroad workers' unions narrowly voted to reject a contract brokered by the White House. 7 railroad unions voted to approve the new contracts, but it needs approval from all 12 to prevent a strike. Industry experts say a rail strike could cost the U.S. economy up to $2 billion a day.
Badger women's hockey certainly put on a show over the weekend, and now Cami Kronish is the WCHA Goalie of the Week. She had a stellar performance against Minnesota. Game 1, she tallied up 38 saves, a season high for her. Rounded out the weekend with no losses. Badgers moving up in the rankings as well. They are sitting this morning at number 2. Ohio State's number 1. And Minnesota drops down to 3rd.
An important White House tradition taking place this week. President Biden pardoned 2 turkeys, Chocolate and Chip. They were raised in North Carolina by the chairman of the National Turkey Federation. They've been supplying Thanksgiving turkeys to the White House since 1947.
Forward Madison FC hosted a party yesterday to watch the U.S.'s first World Cup match in over 8 years. Drew a pretty big crowd. Some kiddos missed school. Others worked while watching the match. Fans not getting the outcome they wanted, though. Team USA gave up their lead in the 82nd minute, and it ended in a draw. They each take a point now. The U.S. faces a tough showdown on Friday against England.
The World Cup becoming even more political, with players and fans from Iran bringing protests to the fields. Iranian soccer stars stood silently as their national anthem played, many in the crowd booing. This amid a violent government crackdown on protesters back home. Demonstrations, you might remember, erupted in Iran back in September after a young woman held in police custody for not wearing her headscarf correctly died.
The U.S. experiencing a shortage of a drug commonly used to treat bacterial infections in kids. According to the FDA, amoxicillin is in high demand because kids are getting sick from a variety of illnesses right now. Amoxicillin is prescribed for many illnesses, including ear and throat infections. It comes in several forms, but it's the kid-friendly liquid that is specifically experiencing shortages.
Melvin Gordon's time as a Bronco now over. The former Badgers running back, who's been with Denver since the 2020 season, was waived yesterday. The decision by the team comes after he committed his 5th fumble of the season during Sunday's game against the Raiders. Gordon led the team both in carries and rushing yards this season. And to the skies, NASA's Orion capsule is moving farther and farther away from Earth after successfully completing a slingshot maneuver around the moon. Orion will keep going until it's nearly 270,000 miles away, breaking NASA's distance record. It'll be back to Earth next month.
Temperatures are warming up into the 40s for a lot of us out there today. We're going to see perhaps mid-40s across south and west Wisconsin. 40 is where I have us topping out in Madison. Overnight tonight, we go down into the 20s. Some areas in the south and west may only bottom out at about 30, but tomorrow there's more where it came from. Even more 40s in the forecast. Some of us could flirt with 50 for your afternoon highs on Wednesday.
All right, 50, we'll take it. Chris Reese, thank you very much.
All right, one more newscast for me tomorrow morning.
Oh, can't believe we're coming to the end of your time here.
We're getting there.
Tune in, help us say goodbye to Chris. We'll have a news and weather update coming up here in about half an hour.